Jonesboro's community radio station. Your life, your music. KLEK 102.5 FM.
Good Wednesday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. It'll be partly to mostly cloudy, a few rain showers today, the high in the low 40s. Mostly cloudy tonight, cooler, about 30 to 35, light north winds. Thursday, a blend of sun and clouds, about 40 to 45, and it'll be around 45 Friday, partly to mostly cloudy. And Saturday and Sunday should be partly to mostly sunny. 50s on Saturday, low 60s on Sunday. Educate, entertain, and empower. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Evacuations have started as nations worldwide scramble to extract citizens from Wuhan because of the coronavirus. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has rejected US President Donald Trump's proposed Middle East peace plan. Some schools have shut in Malawi before a court judgment next week about last year's disputed election in the country, and the Syrian army says it's retaken the important town of Marat al-Numan, which was the last opposition stronghold in Idlib province.
It's 9:02.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Quabila Jones, and my special guests today are Dr. Yvette Allen from Arkansas State University and Miss Cecilia Elite. Elliott. How can I say Elite? Elliott from St. Bernard's, and they're here to talk about another leaping into
diversity and inclusion.
All right, so when I saw this topic come across Facebook, I don't know where I first saw it. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to get into this.
Okay.
It's something that needs to be talked about. You know, it just seems like the latter part of 2019, there was a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion, and there was a whole lot of race-related conversations, but people were talking around each other but not to each other. And so it's time to bring that conversation in, bring it in.
Yes.
And so let's just go ahead and get right into the details of when, where, and then the details of the event.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the conference will be on Friday, February 21st, 2020. We're in 20.
Mark your calendar.
It'll be from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. and it'll be at the newly built Embassy Suites Hotel off of Red Wolf Boulevard. So we are excited to have this coming. So this is the inaugural year. Hopefully it's something we can keep up. We've had really, really great feedback from the community, so we are excited as well.
All right, so I'm looking at the flyer, and there's different puzzle pieces. I love the graphics, how the different puzzle pieces, but they're all connected. Implicit bias, equity, stereotyping, cultural humility.
Yes.
And so let's just get right into each one of those. And break down, what people can expect conversation-wise.
The conference, absolutely. So I think conversation-wise, we're going to start. Well, actually, let's do a rundown of the day. I think that'll kind of help with conversation. So it's Amber Booth, who's going to come from the Diversity Booth Incorporated. They're going to come first and kind of start us off in the morning at 9 a.m., right? So they're going to start us off with some of the language, the definitions to kind of help us have that common language to have conversations throughout the day, and also have some interactive activities, right? So this, I think, will be definitely a plus from other conferences you've been to where you feel like you might be lectured at a lot, right? I think that interactive piece will be a good touch in the morning. And then participants will break during lunch. And during lunch, they'll have some type of either case study or activity that they can think through because, in the afternoon, we're moving around 1 or 1:30, we're moving into their breakout sessions. So individuals can sign up for 4 sessions. When they register, they'll see a list of sessions. It can be implicit bias in education, implicit bias in healthcare, implicit bias in business, or implicit bias in hiring strategies, right? And so they'll be able to pick from those, because that'll be whatever session they pick, that's the one they'll go to in the afternoon to have those conversations. And so what they did during lunch and from the morning will then be implemented during those conversations in the afternoon. Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is going to be a very inclusive conference. And I see you also are offering continuing education hours. Now, now if that doesn't get people to sign up, I don't know what will. Who doesn't love those CE hours?
Exactly.
All right, and so how many hours? I don't know. How many hours will be, or credits will be offered?
So it'll be a credit hour for every hour of the conference. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
And I feel like with the morning session, it is going to be interactive. So it's a big group, but you're going to really get a chance to learn the people in the group. More intimate in the afternoon. You know, really honing it down to how is this going to affect me and which area that I want to learn about. And we're going to have community professionals on a panel to answer questions as well. So with healthcare, we're going to have healthcare professionals, business people from the community coming out talking during those breakout sessions.
Awesome.
So it's going to be a lot of good information.
And one thing I love about this, you know, in previous conversations, just general conversation with people, and also I took a social stratification class during my undergraduate years, and the professor told us, be prepared to be challenged on your personal biases. And I think sometimes as Black people, we think we're okay in certain areas of our life and our thinking, and when we get into other situations, we realize, okay, maybe I need to work on something. So we too can have biases and misconceptions even within our own race circle. And so this would be great for everyone.
Right. And I think everyone, really any demographic, right? We all have biases because we all come from different backgrounds, right? When you think about when you're interacting with different folks, you're like, you know what? I'm coming from this background. You're coming from that background. You were raised this way. You were taught to do it this way. Somebody else was taught to do it that way. So when you're coming together, when you're really thinking about implicit bias, we have to acknowledge that we all have it, but we all have to work on it. The way we mitigate it is working on it, being transparent, right, and intentional about it so that we can move forward, right? Because we all have them, we all have to work on them.
I was having a conversation with a friend that lives in Maryland, and she was trying to get a job at a certain place, and she ran into someone else who told her, well, the director, who was the same race, well, you might not like him because he's XYZ, his attitude, behavior, blah, blah, blah. He was raised different. And so she's like, well, let me just see for myself before I take someone else's word on who that person is. I think we need to have that attitude about everyone we encounter. On the flip side, like for us being Black women, we don't need to just assume, okay, that's my sister girl, home girl, I can talk to her any kind of way. You know, just because we're in a social setting, we're still professional to some degree. So we all need to still walk into a situation open-minded, assess the situation, and then make a determination from that point.
Right. Absolutely. And I think too, you go ahead.
And I feel like, you know, we talk about diversity issues among people who look like us. And that may not be the most productive way to handle some issues.
Absolutely.
Because you may have been in a situation where I wish they understood. I wish they could get where I'm coming from.
Right.
And so I think that this knowledge, learning this terminology, is going to help you be able to talk through some of those situations that you may be going through. And if it's not for you, teach your children. You know, it's going to make you a better co-worker, a better parent, a better sibling. It can affect you in so many areas of your life. And I was reading a statistic, and I can't remember the numbers, but the United States is probably one of the most diverse that it's ever been, and it's growing in diversity. But you can look at certain groups, especially when we talk about hiring, and it's still very homogeneous. And it's like we're growing in diversity, but we're not taking the good things about that and bringing it into our workplace. We're still want to hire people just like us. Maybe not raised, but maybe, you know, childbearing age. You know, there's so many things that you can look at, and you would be such a better group of people, whether it be social events, where you work, if you want to include people of different backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not easy, but it makes you stronger.
Absolutely. And I would add too, we have to also have that concentration on how implicit biases also disproportionately affect underrepresented groups. So as Cecilia spoke to, you know, if you're hiring people who look like you and act like you, if the predominant group, is in certain spaces, you think about how that then affects underrepresented groups. And so I think we're touching on that too in the conference, because while we all have biases, sometimes these biases disproportionately affect underrepresented groups because they may not have a space at the table, a space to bring folks in who look like that type of thing. Yep.
Yes, I used to work at this agency where we did parenting education, and the director at the time when I was hired in, she purposely hired people who were different races, different genders, and people from different walks of life because
be intentional
of the type of clients we were serving. They needed to know that someone can really relate to them. We had people, young girls who were in the upper middle class who got pregnant. So we had caseworkers who can really deal with them. We had young girls who were in the lowest of the low. So I really love that environment, and it really shaped me. It shaped me who I am, who I am now. It really helped to shape that person. And so now I can take that with me through to any area of my life. There's a social work, I don't know if it's a social work term, but Dr. Patricia Walls made this comment when they were talking about the conference the social work conference. Cultural competence, competency, being aware of the different cultures that are around in your own community. And so I noticed on the flyer it talks about cultural humility. So can you break that down just a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're thinking about cultural humility, it's just kind of taking a step back that I don't know everything, right? Because, for example, even though you might represent a group, everyone in that group is not the same, and those are some of the terms that will be broken down in the morning. So to get a little bit more, you got to come there. But yes, when you're thinking about just really taking a step back from yourself and being humble about it, and being willing to learn. I think a lot of times where people mess up is if you think you know everything and you're not willing to learn, then you're not contributing to the conversation and the growth and the feedback.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say good morning to Derek Coleman. Thank you for checking in. Says good morning, ladies.
Hey, good morning.
Dexter Davis and Miss Regina Wilson. Thank you all for checking in.
Hello.
Happy belated birthday, Miss Regina. Sorry. All right. And so again, the conference is February 21st, 2020. It is $30 to register. Yes. But for that $30, you're getting so much more.
Absolutely.
In value. I mean, the $30 it doesn't really cover what you're getting, but that's a great price for that event. And so again, the money goes into LEAP. If you're not familiar with LEAP, which I don't know why you shouldn't be by now, LEAP stands for Leading and Emerging African American Professionals, and this is I keep wanting to call it a group, but it's a subsidiary of St. Bernard's, the hospital. And so I am so happy that you all exist in this community, that like-minded people decide to come together and say, let's do something bigger and better for our community, especially the minority or underprivileged, underserved, underrepresented individuals in the community.
Yes,
absolutely.
And so St. Bernard's LEAP, literally, we are the first affinity group for St. Bernard's. We're very happy about that. And we got together, and we love to partner with people in the community. So when we were talking about bringing this knowledge to Northeast Arkansas, because I don't think that there's a conference that has been brought to the public on this topic. So we were super excited. We reached out to ASU because we love partnering with people, power in numbers. And so we reached out to ASU, and we just want to thank you all for partnering with us for this event, because I truly, truly believe this is going to be something that's going to happen year after year, because it's so much that you can learn about others. And then number one, we're not going to be telling you what's wrong with you or saying you have this biases and this is wrong. No, it's just an acknowledgement that, hey, it exists. We all have them. And yes, Dr. Allen said, how can we work around those pre-programmed ideas? How can we mitigate those now that we have known? The most thing that you're going to do is you're going to learn something about yourself. Hands down, you're going to learn about you on this day.
So consider this a professional and personal development conference. And you get some continuing education hours. So I mean, what more do you need?
Breakfast and lunch.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
so look, I need everybody.
It's a good deal, right? You get breakfast and lunch for your fee, plus great conversations. I mean, it's going to be awesome. You don't want to miss it.
That is amazing. So, Dr. Allen, talk about the Office of Diversity and like, look, there's so many changes happening on this campus of A-State, and I am loving it. I mean, I know I haven't been as active on campus before, but what I see, and since Dr. Danforth has been here, not to shade anyone else previously, however, it's like there's just this fresh air of something. I don't know.
When you're doing a great job, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, no, you're exactly
You're doing a great job, you're doing a great job.
I see like a boost in morale with the students and the staff, and just things are just happening on the campus of A-State.
Yes. So it's the Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. So that's one of the title sponsors along with St. Bernard's. We have a number of other different sponsors, but yes, so we are certainly growing. Our division, there's multicultural affairs. We do a number of different programs, workshops for students, faculty, staff on campus. We have the Department or Office of Access and Accommodations. There's Beck Center for Veterans there. There's programs for faculty and staff under the division. There's community engagement under the division. There's definitely so much under that particular division of diversity and community engagement under the leadership of Dr. Maurice Gibson, who is absolutely wonderful. Yes. And a lot of the growth that you see, he's very open to it, right? When I brought this to him, it was just like, hands down, yes, this is something that we can do. Absolutely.
And I love seeing that this is coming to the NEA area. We sometimes hear about this in bigger cities, Central Arkansas, Northwest, and but I'm happy to see it right in our own neighborhood.
Yes.
And so hopefully people, even from surrounding areas like St. Francis, Mississippi County, Crittenden, those counties right around us, will come on over and say, let's be a part of this. Yes. And so is there a limit though? Like I know some rooms have limits, so
I guess in some ways. So our goal was 100, 150 folks, but the rooms, there'll be 4 rooms divided. I think the capacity for those rooms is about 40 each, and so hey, when we hit a limit, we gotta go ahead and we can't hit capacity.
All right, so let's talk about equity. I saw one of my professors in this class I'm in now, she posted a picture of equality and equity. And equity is basically everyone having the same right and privilege. The picture was basically people standing on little boxes. Correct. And the shortest person standing on the tallest box, so they can still have the same viewpoint as the tallest person who didn't need one. So let's break that down a little bit more.
So the equity you're probably talking about, it's an image. It's talking about equity versus equality, and it's the equality is giving everyone the same thing, and equity is giving folks what they need. And so one of the examples I use with some of the trainings I do is when you think about 2 grade school children, right? One had parents, guardians, family members reading to them every night. They enter grade school at a superb reading level, right? Then you have another student who didn't have those same resources, right? Equality would just be giving those students the same thing, but equity would be giving the student who did not have the same resources at home, the resources they need to do well in school. Okay. Right. So when you think about equity, you think about giving folks what they need. Because if we're honest about it, everyone doesn't need the same thing to be successful. We all have different resources, came from different backgrounds. And so equity gives us what we need to be successful.
And I hope that, over time we can also change the dialogue just across the nation. We do preach and teach and speak about equality for all, but I think we need to have a different conversation now and talk about equity. Because
you won't know unless you really connect with those people to understand what they may need. It's not just saying, okay, for this job, this is what you need. No, it may be different for a vet than it is for a Facilier. And you're not going to find that out without communication.
Absolutely. That's right.
And you have to know to do that.
That's right. So in order to get all this information, come on out to the conference, the Leaping Into Diversity Inclusion Conference, February 21st, 2020, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So tell them again, price and location.
Yes, so it's going to be $30 for the day. You can go online to register. One route, if you're familiar with St. Bernard's Healthcare on Facebook, you can go to St. Bernard's Healthcare. You can look under events, and you will see Leaping Into Diversity and Inclusion. You click on that, and you're going to be able to register. We also have a site on ASU through Marketplace.
Yes, if you go to A-State Marketplace, you can just really scroll down and you'll see the the Leaping Into Diversity and Inclusion Implicit Bias Conference. Click on that and you'll see the same link.
Exactly.
It takes you the same
So whichever platform you're more comfortable with, you're going to be able to find that event. So it's going to be $30, and we will be at the Embassy Suites. Breakfast and lunch will be included, and a wealth of information.
Right, and I'm also going to post this on our Facebook page right now.
Awesome.
And so you can there is a little QR code, whatever little code, and so you can scan that code. Also, depending on your phone, I know with iPhones, if you take a picture of it, it will. Yeah, it works as a scanner too.
Exactly. You don't need the app anymore. You can just open up your camera.
Yes. And so go ahead and get that flyer and post it on KLEK's page right now. And so you have no excuse to say you didn't see it. Good morning to Sergeant Nathan Colvin. And Miss Amanda Faces, good morning. I'm excited about this event.
Yes,
Thank
good
you.
morning.
All right, so we got about a minute and a half. So any final thoughts, words you want to share, shout outs?
Well, I would like to say, when we talk about implicit bias, I really want people to understand not only is it race and ethnic, it's age, it's different characteristics of people when you see them. It's even the way you think. Absolutely. So when we talk about implicit bias, it really just culminates so many different types of things. Okay. So definitely, if you think this isn't for you, you're wrong. Definitely come check us out. $30, February 21st.
February 2020,
Friday. Okay. All right, and then the next day, of course, which you all are. Black Professional Network come back later to talk about the Black History Quiz Bowl. So many things. And then
we have a packed month coming up.
Yeah, I mean, with February being Black History Month, there's so many activities. The campus is going to be alive with activities. The community is going to be alive with activities. And this will be the perfect time for everyone in the community to come together and start learning more about each other, having those conversations that we try to shy away from. It's 2020. Things are changing, and we need to start having deeper conversations with each other.
And I think the one thing I hear in our conversations all the time is, well, what can we do about that? Well, what can we do? Well, you can come to this conference, and we're going to give you some tools on what to do.
Right. And be prepared to implement the action, right?
Yeah.
Let's not just talk about it. Let's be prepared to make some action steps afterwards.
I think some people are afraid to be uncomfortable. We got to get rid of that.
You have to be, though. You have to be. To learn and grow, you have to be uncomfortable. Absolutely.
All right, so this has been our conversation with LEAP today. This day is a 2-part show. Coming back, we have members from the Office of Diversity and Community Engagement talking about another program. So another event that's happening on the campus of Arkansas State University, so stay tuned. Thank you all for joining me this morning, and we'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.